Welcome to Spiritual Foundations for Life. This is day number 335. Do you remember when the Philistines went to war against the Israelites? And the Israelites got all stressed out when they saw Goliath the giant. But David, the small boy, he didn't get stressed out. Why? The Israelites saw the giant and heard his boasting, and that information got passed on to their brains where their minds interpreted the data. David, however, had previously programmed his mind with faith. He had seen God protect him from the lion and from the bear, and so the program running in his mind caused him to have courage and confidence in God, and so David was not stressed out. That's why all the laws and all the rules in the world cannot help us, because laws cannot change us internally in our software. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 29 and 30, if your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. But if we all did that, we would be trying to move around without eyes and hands. Jesus, however, knew that it wasn't the right eye, our right eye, that causes us to sin. He was trying to point to something deeper, what's going on in our hearts and our minds. And that's why we all need a new heart. And that's what Jesus did at salvation. He gave us a new heart. But if we don't change our thinking, our software, which is what causes us to sin, it will affect the functioning of our hearts. We tend to say, I saw that or I experienced that, and it really scared me. But that's just not true. Our fear is our response to the way we interpreted the data. We have an event that activates our thinking, and then we mentally evaluate it, and then our thinking determines our emotional response. Said another way, our environment really does not shape us. Our perception of our environment shapes us. Our life experiences do not shape us. Our perception of our life experiences shape us. If we heard that our company was laying off people and then found out that our boss wanted to see us this Friday morning, what would we do? Our mind would take that information and probably interpret it to mean that we're getting laid off. So we might feel hopeless or depressed or anxious or angry, the emotions resulting from our thinking. Then on Friday, what would happen if we met with our boss and he told us that we're getting a promotion? Well, our mind would interpret this new information and we'd have feelings of relief and joy and happiness. Well, why the different reactions? Why the different emotions? Well, what we initially believed was false because of the assumptions that we had made in our mind. And as a result, what we felt didn't conform to our reality. Now, here's the point I'm trying to make. If what we believe does not reflect the truth, then what we feel does not conform to reality. And that is the battle that we face each and every day of our lives. So every day we have a choice between two plans. Plan B is man's way and how we learn to live our lives independent of God. Plan A is in conflict with Plan B, because Plan A is God's way, where we learn to live by faith. And that is why many Christians continue to struggle with anxiety, because they are double-minded. In each situation, do we do Plan B or do we do Plan A? And Christian maturity is always choosing Plan A, God's way. You can keep choosing Plan A. But what if God's Plan A doesn't seem reasonable? Well, God's Plan A is always reasonable, but our problem is that we're limited in our ability to reason. And that's why Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. So we must daily choose to live by faith. Plus, we all have strongholds or flesh patterns or defense mechanisms that are left over from our past. So how do we tear them down? How do we win this battle for our mind? Well, we just change our way of thinking, right? Well, there is another problem, and that's that we're not just battling the world. We're not just battling our flesh. We are battling with the world and the flesh and with the devil. See, there's also a spiritual battle going on in our minds. You see, if we want to grow to mature in Christ, then we need to reprogram the software in our minds, yes, but the problem is we also need to check for viruses in our program. And the first thing we need to understand about computer viruses is that they're not accidental. Every computer virus is intentional. They have all been maliciously introduced to try to destroy our operating system. And so if we're going to grow as Christians, renew our minds, yes, we need good Bible study and good teaching, and that's why we're trying to do in these devotionals. But if what we've learned, I should say it this way, if what we've learned, we can relearn the right? If what we learned is wrong, we can relearn the right. If we believed a lie, we can renounce the lie and believe the truth. And, that's what we have to do to win the battle. But then we also have to win the battle for our minds by looking at the spiritual attacks on our mind. And that's what we're going to look at in the next number of lessons. Our key point is that every day we have the option to choose plan B, the world's way, or plan A, which is God's way, which is live by faith. And our key verse is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. God bless you. See you tomorrow for another episode of Spiritual Foundations for Life.